there! Welcome back to day 3 of our Read Aloud workshop. I'm so excited about today because we're going to tackle something many of you have told me is a huge challenge: figuring out which books to use for teaching specific comprehension strategies. First, I want to say how amazing you've all been in our Facebook group. I love seeing your engagement and how you're implementing what we're learning together. Yesterday, we talked about mapping out your year-long comprehension strategy plan. Today, we're going to build on that by learning how to identify which books work best for each strategy and then actually organizing your books accordingly. By the end of this video, you'll complete your action item, sorting 15 of your classroom books into comprehension strategy categories. You'll walk away with an organized book collection where you can quickly find the perfect book for any strategy. I know from talking with so many of you that one of your biggest struggles is having the right books organized and ready to go when you need them. In fact, when I asked teachers what they wish for, so many said things like, "There are so many books out there, but I don't know what each one is best for," or "I would love to have my books in categories." Today, we're solving that problem once and for all. Let's be honest, with thousands of picture books out there and probably hundreds in the classroom, it can feel completely overwhelming to know which ones work best for teaching inferring versus making connections or any other strategy. I remember standing in front of my classroom library frantically searching for the perfect book to teach visualizing, wasting my precious planning time and still not feeling confident in my choice. Sound familiar? One teacher told me, "I have lots of choices, but I like to make sure my book choice matches what I'm trying to teach." That uncertainty can lead to less effective lessons, wasted planning time, and missed teaching opportunities. The good news, it doesn't have to be this way. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to identify which comprehension strategy any picture book in your library is best suited for. This is going to be a game changer for your read alouds. Here's the approach we're going to use today. I'll show you how to look for specific features in books that signal they're perfect for teaching a particular comprehension strategy. I want to be clear about something. Most good picture books can be used for multiple strategies. That's what makes them so valuable. But most books have a sweet spot, 1 or 2 strategies where they really shine and can create those powerful aha moments for your students. So let's dive into each of our 6 core comprehension strategies and what to look for in books for each one. Strategy number 1 is making connections. Making connections is all about helping students connect what they're reading to their personal experiences, to other texts they've read, or to their knowledge about the world. When you're looking for books that work well for making connections, you want to find ones with relatable characters and situations that students can personally identify with. You want universal themes like friendship, family, or emotions, or cultural or historical elements that students can connect to. These are stories that naturally prompt the "that reminds me of" reactions. Some perfect examples include, for text-to-self connections, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day by Judith Forst works beautifully because every child has experienced a day when nothing seems to go right. When I read this to my students, hands immediately shoot up with their own terrible day stories. For text-to-text connections, try Goldilocks and the 3 Dinosaurs by Mo Willems. Kids instantly recognize the connection to the traditional Goldilocks story, and they love pointing out the similarities and differences. For text-to-world connections, Last Stop on Market Street by Matt de la Pena offers so many opportunities to connect with community experiences and discuss different perspectives. And here's a quick check. If you're holding a book that features everyday experiences children can relate to, it's likely great for making connections. Strategy number 2, inferring. Inferring is all about reading between the lines, discovering meaning that isn't explicitly stated in the text. It's like being a reading detective. When looking for books that are perfect for inferring, watch for subtle clues in the text or illustrations, character emotions that are shown but not directly told, hidden meanings or messages that aren't spelled out, or stories where important information is implied rather than stated. So some books that absolutely shine for inferring: The Mysteries of Harris Burdick by Chris Van Allsburg is my absolute favorite for inferring. These mysterious images with just a caption require students to infer so much about what's happening in each scenario. Tuesday by David Weisner is another gem. This nearly wordless book about flying frogs requires students to infer the entire story just from the images. And Sidewalk Flowers by John Arnold Lawson follows a little girl collecting flowers on a walk with her distracted father. Again, the wordless format means students must infer the emotional journey happening on each page. Okay, do a quick check. If the book requires readers to piece together clues to understand the full story, it's perfect for inferring. Strategy number 3 is predicting. This is using text evidence to anticipate what might happen next in a story. It keeps readers engaged and helps them connect the dots between events. So for predicting, we're going to look for books with strong foreshadowing elements, patterns or repetition that establish expectations, problem solution structures that build anticipation, and visual or textual clues that hint at upcoming events. Some fantastic books for prediction include If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Numeroff. It has that wonderful circular pattern that invites prediction after just a few pages. Students quickly catch on and can predict the cause and effect chain. Also, The Mitten by Jan Brett is brilliant for prediction because the illustrations and the borders on those sides of the pages foreshadow what animal will come next. Also, Bear Snores On by Karma Wilson has that repetitive "but the bear snores on" pattern that helps students predict the language and what might happen when the bear finally wakes up. For a quick check, if the book plants clues about upcoming events or follows a clear pattern, it is ideal for prediction. Next, for strategy number 4, we have visualizing. This is creating mental images based on descriptive text. It's like making a movie in your mind while you read. So for visualizing, your best books will have rich, descriptive language that paints pictures, strong sensory details, sights, sounds, smells, textures, and even tastes, or text that creates images beyond what the illustrations show, and that language that evokes clear mental imagery. Some perfect books for visualizing include Owl Moon by Jane Yolen. This is one of my absolute favorites for visualizing. The rich sensory language about a nighttime owl walk creates that vivid image. You can practically feel the cold, hear the silence of the snowy woods, and see the owl's yellow eyes. Also, The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg combines descriptive language with magical illustrations to create a complete sensory experience. Do a quick check. If the language creates vivid pictures in your mind or the illustrations complement the text imagery, it is excellent for visualizing. Let's move on to strategy number 5, asking questions. Asking questions helps students engage actively with the text and develop deeper comprehension by wondering about characters, events, and ideas as they read. For asking questions, look for books with open-ended scenarios that naturally prompt that what if or why did questions. You want to look for complex characters whose motivations aren't always immediately clear. You could look for mysterious or unusual situations that spark curiosity, or multiple layers of meaning that invite deeper questioning. And also, if you're looking for books for asking questions, look for scenarios that connect to bigger themes or issues. Some perfect books for teaching asking questions. I feel like I've shared a lot of Chris Van Allsburg books, but The Stranger by Chris Van Allsburg is perfect because the mysterious character prompts countless questions. Who is he? Why doesn't he know what autumn is? Students naturally wonder about his identity throughout the story. Also, The Important Book by Margaret Wise Brown encourages students to ask what's most important about for various objects and concepts. Another one for asking questions is What Do You Do with a Kangaroo by Mercer Mayer. This presents silly scenarios that prompt students to ask their own "what would you do if" questions. Now do a quick check. If the book makes you naturally wonder about characters, situations, or outcomes, it's perfect for teaching students to ask questions while reading. Okay, last we have strategy number 6, summarizing. This is identifying main ideas and key details, all filtering out less important information. For summarizing, we're going to look for books with clear beginning, middle, and end structure, a distinct main idea or central message, and sequential events that build logically. These books have a clear problem and solution. So some excellent books for summarizing include The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. This has a clear sequence with a main idea that's really easy to track. Also, Rosie's Walk by Pat Hutchins follows a simple sequence of events that students can easily identify and retell. You could also use the book Knuffle Bunny by Mo Willems because it has a clear problem solution structure that makes the summarizing straightforward for your students. Again, let's do that quick check. If the book has a clear narrative arc with distinct events, it works well for summarizing. Now that we know what to look for in books for each strategy, let's set up a system to organize them. I've created these printable labels for each strategy bucket. You can download these from our Facebook group if you haven't already. This is one of your freebies for today, along with a master list of recommended books for each strategy that will continue building together. I've also created these strategy checklist stickers that you can print on label paper and just place right inside each book. This is a game changer because it allows you to identify books that work for multiple strategies, even if you physically store the book in just one category. So now, you have options for how you organize physically. You could use bins or baskets labeled with each strategy. You could put colored dots on book spines that correspond to different strategies. Or if space is tight, you might keep a digital list or binder with book titles organized by strategy. Like I always say, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to create a system that works for you and makes your teaching life easier. You know your classroom and your teaching style best. But let me show you how I sort through some picture books using what we just learned. I've got 5 books here that I'm going to analyze and sort right in front of you. First, I have The Day the Crayons Quit by Drew DeWalt. When I look at this book, I immediately think about making connections because students can really connect to the feelings the crayons express. The crayons feel overworked, underappreciated, or pigeonholed into certain roles. These are feelings that students understand. They can make text-to-self connections about times they've felt similar emotions. However, it's also great for inferring because readers need to infer why each crayon is upset based on the illustrations and what's not directly stated. I'm going to mark both strategies on my checklist, but I'll place it in my Making Connections bin since that's how I most often use it. Next is Tuesday by David Wisner. This wordless picture book is perfect for making predictions because students have to anticipate what will happen next on each page. There's no text telling them, so they must use visual clues to predict the story's progression. It's also wonderful for visualizing since they're creating the narrative in their minds. I'll check both strategies, but place it in my prediction bin because that's where it truly shines. Students are constantly predicting what those frogs will do next. Here is The Relatives Came by Cynthia Ryland. I love this story. It's such a warm story about family, visiting, and it's excellent for making connections, especially text-to-self connections about family gatherings. The rich, descriptive language about hugging relatives, crowded sleeping arrangements, and sharing meals also makes it perfect for visualizing. Look how Ryland describes the breathing house at night or the garden growing. These passages create vivid mental images. I'll check both, but store it with Making Connections since that's its primary strength. Finally, Stella Luna by Janelle Cannon works beautifully for summarizing because it has a clear beginning. Stella Luna gets separated from her mother. Middle, she adapts to bird life. And end, she reunites with her bat family, but maintains friendships with the birds, with important lessons about acceptance. It also supports making connections as students connect to the themes of belonging and friendship. I'll check both, but place it in my summarizing bin since good summarizing books can sometimes be hard to find. So did you notice how I applied our strategy criteria to each book? I looked for specific features in the text and illustrations that signal a book's strength for a particular strategy. Remember, most quality books work for multiple strategies, but they usually have a primary strength where they truly shine. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and sort through your stack of 15 books. Use the strategy criteria we just discussed to help you determine which strategy each book best supports. Remember to apply your stickers if you're using them and sort your books into categories. This is your action item for today. Sorting at least 15 of your classroom books into comprehension strategy categories. The win here is creating an organized book collection where you can quickly find the perfect book for any strategy. So as you sort, ask yourself, does this book have relatable situations for making connections? Does it require readers to infer meanings not explicitly stated? Does it contain patterns or foreshadowing for predictions? Does it use rich, descriptive language for visualizing? Does it prompt natural questioning about characters, events, or outcomes? Does it have a clear structure that's easy to summarize? Don't overthink this process. Most picture books can work for multiple strategies. Just identify the primary strategy you'd use the book for, mark any secondary strategies, and move on. When you're finished, resume this video and we'll troubleshoot it together. Okay, welcome back. How did the sorting go? If you found this challenging, you're not alone. Here are some common issues teachers run into. First, if you found books that seem to fit multiple strategies equally well, that's completely normal. Choose the strategy you're most likely to teach with that book, or the strategy that might be harder to find books for, like cause and effect or summarizing. Second, if you struggle to categorize certain books, remember most picture books can be flexible. Don't overthink it. Let me share an example. The Dot by Peter H. Reynolds could work for making connections. Students relate to Vashti's frustration. Inferring, much of her emotional journey is shown rather than told. Or summarizing, it has a clear beginning, middle, and end. I'd probably choose inferring as its primary category because that's where it really shines, but any of these would be valid. Third, some books might not fit neatly into any strategy, and that's okay too. Those might be better for other purposes like building community or pure enjoyment, and those are absolutely valid reasons to read aloud too. Remember, this system is meant to serve you, not stress you out. Adapt it in whatever way works best for your teaching style and classroom. Now that you've sorted your books, I'd love for you to share your work in our Facebook group. Post a photo of one book from each strategy category. This will help us continue building our master list of recommended books for each strategy, and you might discover some new titles from other teachers too. When you share, try to briefly mention what features of the book made it perfect for that strategy. For example, I put Owl Moon in my visualizing category because the rich sensory language creates such vivid images of the nighttime owl walk. This deeper analysis will help everyone understand your thinking and learn from your selections. And don't worry, if you don't have books for every strategy yet, that's exactly why we're creating this community resource together. By the end of the workshop, everyone will have access to a comprehensive list of books for each strategy, one of your freebies for participating in this week's workshop. As you've been sorting your books today, you might have had some thoughts like, I wish I had more books for inferring, or I need fresh ideas for how to use these books effectively. I completely understand that feeling. That's exactly why I created the Colorful Apple Book Club membership. Inside the membership, teachers have access to over 200 read-aloud lesson plans, all sorted by comprehension strategy, with ready-to-use anchor charts, discussion questions, and activities. For example, let's say you're using The Stranger to teach asking questions. In the membership, you'd have sticky notes with perfectly placed stopping points, higher order thinking questions that encourage students to wonder about the mysterious character, and a graphic organizer that helps students track their questions and possible answers throughout the story. What makes the membership special is that I've already done all the analysis work for you, identifying which books work best for each strategy, creating the perfect questions, and designing activities that reinforce that learning. You don't have to spend hours figuring out if a book is better for inferring or asking questions, or crafting just the right discussion prompts. I've done it all for you. Imagine having this level of preparation for dozens of books across all 6 comprehension strategies without spending hours planning each lesson yourself. That's what the book club provides, but more on that later this week. Tomorrow, we'll move to day 4, creating effective read aloud questions. We'll focus on crafting the perfect questions for any picture book. You'll learn a simple framework for generating powerful discussion questions that get your students thinking deeply about text. Make sure you have your books sorted nearby for tomorrow's session. You'll get to practice creating effective questions using books from your own collection. We'll be focusing on how to craft questions that truly engage your students and develop their comprehension skills. So, congratulations on what you've accomplished today. You've just completed your action item of sorting 15 books by strategy, and you've eliminated one of the biggest hurdles to effective read alouds, not knowing which books to use for which purpose. This organization system will save you time and mental energy all year long. With your books sorted by strategy, you'll be able to quickly find the perfect book for any lesson. And don't forget to share your sorted books in our Facebook group. I can't wait to see what treasures are in your collections. See you tomorrow for day 4, where we'll dive into creating effective questions for read aloud.